Good evening if you're in Australia. Hello around the world. If you're in the UK, good morning. It's 8:30 p.m. here in Australia, Melbourne, and it's 9:30 in the UK. I'm not sure what the time is in the US. I think it's middle of the night. Tonight I'm having Anita from Sugar and Sloth to come and have a chat. We're going to chat about some of her characters, her positive messaging with those characters, and also talk about anxiety. So if you're ready, we're going to get Anita in and we're going to have a bit of a chat. She's good fun to listen to, good fun what she does with her business. So let's invite her in and have a chat. I think she's coming. Are you there, Anita?
Hi, I'm here.
Yeah.
How are you?
I can only see your mouth.
Hang on. Hang on.
It's just like moving lips. That's heaps better. Yeah, now I can see you.
Perfect. Hi, brilliant.
How are you going?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
Really good. And look, I really wanted to thank you for coming on tonight because I had someone pull out because they're sick, and I only asked you yesterday if you could come on, and you said, of course I can. So thank you, because you were coming on, I think, April. So
yeah,
you're a whole month early.
Woohoo! Perfect. No, I'm excited. Thank you for having me on.
All right, so before we start talking, I just wanted to let people know that if they enjoy what you talk about, then they can listen to the podcast on Life Changes You, and it was episode 148 in season 2. So I think, look, I've got loads of great feedback from our conversation on the podcast. People really loved you and loved what you talked about and everything else.
Oh, that's really lovely to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so what are we going to talk about? Should we talk a little bit first about your business so that people get an idea of who you are and what you do?
Sure, yeah. So I'm an illustrator and an artist, and my business is Sugar and Sloth. So how that's come about, it's come about through me battling anxiety and depression, mental health problems, and I started creating these characters and drawings, mainly just for myself as a way to like get my feelings out, started sharing those, realised it could help other people, and that's ultimately what saved me, being able to then help others, know that I'm not alone, let them know that they're not alone, and we've built this really lovely community. And the business, what is today Sugar and Sloth, so we have a monthly subscription box where we send out physical stationery and goodies. We also have a shop, and then we have the community, which is our Facebook group and our weekly Facebook lives. It's a really, really lovely place to be, and yeah, I'm just really happy to be part of this lovely community.
And look, I mean, for such a young person compared to me, you are so busy. You do so much stuff, don't you? I mean, I've found you by looking at your stuff on Instagram, and then I started following you on Facebook, and I love all the little updates you put up with all the different characters you've got. And I think, as you said in the podcast, some of them are a little bit sarcastic. Some of them are really just wishing you a good day and hoping that you're feeling great. So yeah, I mean, really great stuff. Look, someone's just said, Anita is so good at lifting people's moods and helping them smile. Well, with a smile like that, how could she not help you smile? And someone else has just said, I swear so much of my living room now has Sugar and Sloth stuff.
Woohoo, taken over.
And have you got ears on?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I just kind of started doing it when we started doing our bestie tea parties, which is what we call our weekly Facebook lives. And it's just a thing now. I just roll with it. But I do think the world would be a little bit nicer if we all had cat ears. So I'm determined to start the trend. Hasn't caught on just yet, but one day it will.
You should have told me. I would have got some.
Oh, amazing. I didn't think of that.
Do you know, when I was thinking just before, well, about an hour ago when we were going to chat, I was thinking, oh, look, I should have photocopied something of Sugar and Sloth so I could wear it. I mean, you can't really see my T-shirt, but wear it or show it so that I could show that I'm supporting you. And I didn't think of little ears. Maybe I should sit like this.
It's okay. I'm pretty much wrapping everything Sugar and Sloth. It just happens. Yeah, no, it's exciting. We do have a lot of characters, which is something I'm trying to work on this year, because every month the subscription box goes out and it has new characters. Everything is created just for that box around the theme. So we've got a lot. And I know you said you wanted to talk about the characters, and I was like, well, how many hours have you got? Because we've got so many characters. What I'm trying to do is really focus it down this year and like develop those characters, because I know so we've got Arnold. We don't do a lot of plushies. This is our only one so far, but he's our most loved character. Yes, it's really when we develop the characters that can really help people and they can relate to the characters. So I'm working on these little kind of like Pokemon-esque cards for all the characters. So although it's quite, it's quite spread out and there's so many characters and they have so many different personalities, I'm trying to really hone it down to those characters who are the most relatable and can actually help people.
Now, can you remember which one I wanted on a coffee cup?
Yes, I've got her here.
Yeah.
It's Pit Pat. It's Pit Pat the frog. She's one of my favourites. Was that right? Or was that just a different one?
I actually can't remember. I was just going to go and scroll through my phone to find it, and then I realised I'm on a live, so I can't do that.
Hang on, I flipped my camera, but that lighting is terrible. Never mind.
Yeah.
I think it was, Pit Pat. It's probably backwards, but she says, I have no idea what I'm doing.
I know what it said. It said, I'm happy I didn't punch anyone today.
Oh, yeah, wasn't that one at all, was it? I don't know why I said that. I think someone asked me yesterday for that design on a t-shirt. Yes, it was that. Yeah, so, I mean, everything is for adults. I haven't asked you if swearing is okay here.
Yes, of course it is.
I don't swear all the time, but a lot of our products do have swearing. We are, because of the cutesiness, often, it's mistaken for children. And a lot of children do enjoy it, and we do a family-friendly version of the box. But, it's based on my experience as an adult, it is for adults. So a lot of the characters and designs do have swearing, do have more adult things like punching people or not punching people.
And what I really liked about your stuff when I first started looking at it was that, it's almost like it's so cute, and then there's that shock to it, like, oh, I didn't punch anyone today, and it's this little tiny furry character, and it's like it's out of the ordinary to see that.
Yeah, no, I really like that juxtaposition, and I think that's something that is quite relatable. It's it's from myself. The way I dress is obviously quite cutesy, and when I have been going through these struggles, it's just, I think I mask it quite well. So it's kind of about that. You never really know what depression, what anxiety looks like, and kind of trying to have fun with it as well. So it's relatable and shareable and a little bit easier to talk about those more difficult things.
Can I just ask you from Book Chicken to ask Anita who her favourite singer is? She loves to listen to her on a Friday.
Hi, Book Chicken. I think that might be Rebecca Black's time to shine.
Okay.
So we do have a little. I'm a really big believer on you can change your emotions with movement, which sounds a little bit woo-woo, but I think there's nothing better than just putting on a song really loud and having a stupid dance. So we do that on our bestie tea parties, and we do listen to the song Friday by Rebecca Black.
Is that one? Friday.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah. It is, really lovely. The bestie tea parties. We started doing them at the start of lockdown, which was 2 years ago now, and that's really helped the community grow. We've got one of our besties who has even done their own version of Rebecca Black's song and replaced it with Thursday, because our lives are actually on a Thursday, which is brilliant.
Right. Well, look, I'll let you into something I do, because I've got a business that I work with people with an intellectual disability and mental health issues. And every second Friday we have a disco at the studio. And the best thing is you can dance however you like. We have Barbie Girl and all those sort of tracks. And it's just really fun because you can just dance however you like, and you're confident in what you're doing because everybody's happy. It's the best feeling.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. So it came from when I used to work in a coffee shop for adults with mental health problems. And we would, it was unofficial. I wasn't really supposed to be doing it. I was just supposed learn how like money worked and things like that. But on a Friday we would have cafe disco, I would call it, and we would just have some flashing lights, coloured lights, and just play some music and have a little stupid dance around, and it was really nice.
Look, that's great, because I think I know with the guys that I work with, that they've gone to, as we say, normal discos, and they're not accepted. You know, it's about who's that funny person over there dancing, and it's a shame. Look, some places we've been to and everybody loves them, but they can have that disco where they can dance however they like, sing however they like, and we all just have a lot of fun. There's only about 10, 15 of us, but it's what they needed, and it's what I need, you know, at the end of the week, to just dance like a lunatic and just have lots of fun.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
what
really,
you were
that's
doing was great.
I want to come to one.
It says here, do you know Lady Lauper? She said the
Yeah,
Arnold
yeah.
song has been released as well. It's actually really fun. Have you got an Arnold song?
So Lady Lauper is on YouTube and has actually created songs for us, and there is an Arnold song. Yeah, there's quite a few songs, which anyone should check out if they want to see them or listen to them and have a dance.
Can you sing a bit of it for us?
I can sing a bit of it for us. Arnold sings and dances. I do the dancing, but I do leave the singing to Lady Lauper.
Wow. Oh, well, I'll have to have a look at that then.
Oh dear.
So what are some of your other favourite characters? So you've got the frog and you've got Arnold.
Yeah, we've got Pit-Pat, we've got Arnold. I wasn't really sure the best way to show them, because obviously a lot of them are shared as like digital illustrations, but we've got these little cards, which are our random
Yeah, I
acts
like
of
the panda.
and you know, you can kind of write who it's left by. They're designed to be left like in library books or gym lockers or whatever, just to brighten someone's day.
Wow, what a great idea.
It's been really popular, which is really lovely, because it means the besties are going out and spreading some kindness. Yeah, so this is Bernie the panda, and there's just so many. I mean, you know.
Do you have Sheila the hedgehog there?
I don't have Sheila the hedgehog. No, we've got a hedgehog. We've got Enid the snail.
Oh yeah. Oh, I like
Yeah.
a cup of tea.
But what I'm really enjoying at the moment is creating these cards. I mean, Troy the penguin is one of my absolute favourites. He does a lot of singing and dancing. And I don't know how well you can see, but we've got the kind of the character stats there. So they've got a score for mischief, huggability, snackiness, adventure, and dance off. And their likes and their special skill. So Troy likes lettuce and TikTok, and his special skill is a good listener.
So how long do you think you spend per day illustrating?
Oh, not enough. I think so. We were just the community in the shop. And you know, I love spending time in the community. The shop takes like quite a lot of work and time, so I created the subscription box because partly selfishly, because I just wanted to make sure I was creating new characters and new designs every month. So now I have that exclusive, because we have a new theme every month, that I can do design time. But you know, I mean, I'm so happy to split my time between design and hanging out with the besties. You know, the bit that I sort of have to manage and plan is the actual running of the shop, and that takes a lot of time. When I started my business, you know, I thought it'd be like 80% just designing and then like 20% running everything, and it's completely the reverse of that. So that is a challenge. I really want to work towards where I have more design time, but yeah, that's what makes me so happy.
And do you have people that are working for you?
Yeah, we've got a team, so a really small team. Hopefully, you know, if you've interacted with Sugar and Sloth, the besties will know our team. So we've got these little packed by order stickers, and occasionally, very occasionally, I encourage someone to pose for a photo, and you can actually see the face. But we've got Holly, and we've got Sophie as well, who's packing up all the orders. Holly's doing a lot of the answering emails and things. But yeah, so before that, that's quite recent that we've had a team. Before that, it was me doing everything, and it was a lot. So I'm very thankful that I do have help now with that.
Well, look, that's what I'm looking at probably in the not too distant future, because I'm finding working my full-time job and then doing the podcast, doing lives, doing Instagram updates, it's all just starting to get too much. So I'm thinking of hiring someone to take either, look, I don't know though, because when I think about someone else doing the Instagram updates, I feel like, well, no, they're what I like saying each day. So, you know, I don't know. I've got to look at it because there's
Yeah,
a
I
lot
didn't
going
realize.
on behind the scenes, isn't there?
Oh my goodness, yeah, so much. And it takes so much time. I didn't realize you had a full-time job as well. That is a lot.
Well, it's a
What?
business that I have with a friend, and we've only been open 2.5 years, but we're really busy there. And we work 5 days a week, every second Saturday, every second Thursday night, going out for a dinner, the disco. So, you know, by the time you do all that, and then you try and do updates on Instagram and book people
Yeah,
for a podcast. I mean, you were at the end of a very long day when we did your podcast. I think I spoke to you, was it 9 o'clock in the morning? So it was eight, no, it might have been later, 9:30, so 8:30 at night. And then I got home about 11 o'clock, and then I had to be back at work the next morning by 8. And I'd
okay,
started
well,
work that day at 8. So,
yeah. Yeah, so I'm the same with, Instagram, social media updates, it's it's like Sugar and Sloth is very much my own voice. So I haven't handed over that sort of tone of voice, I guess you could call it. But what's helped me with that is scheduling. I didn't do scheduling for ages. I don't know why. I was so stubborn. I'm not going to schedule. And that's just using an app, third-party app to plan your posts in. And you go in and you press the button for post, but it's all there done for you, and you're not like, oh crumbs, I haven't posted this day.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
have to. That was really
I might have
eye-opening.
to do that. People have said to me, if you do scheduling, you can write them all in a couple of hours, get them all ready for the
Yeah,
week, and then you don't have to think about it.
yeah, it does really help. Yeah, so we've kind of got one scheduled post per day, and then the rest is just me kind of ad hoc. But if I don't get around to it, at least something goes out.
Well, look, Book Chicken said again, Anita's recent post really helped me manage my anxiety around current world events. Great advice. Can you remember what that was?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was something that I wanted to talk about. Hopefully, it can be helpful to someone. So, yeah, obviously, I won't mention anything specific that's going on in the world. I don't want to trigger anyone, but we all know, before that, obviously, COVID. Before that, you guys had the fires as well. So, there's always been really big, colossal things in the news for the past few years. And it's really triggered a lot of the besties' anxiety. And I think it's really difficult. I don't want to make light of anyone suffering. My heart absolutely goes out to everyone going through these incredibly tough times. But I know that the besties, are just finding it too much. And I think I've been in that cycle as well, where awful things are happening. You feel like you should look and find out everything about them, because if you close off and you're like, I'm not going to look at that, I can feel selfish. I feel selfish. I'm like, is it that I don't care? I'm just happy living my life. I'm not going to look at that. But I think there's a point where you have to do that for your mental health. And I just came up with a few points from my experience that could hopefully help with that. I've even made some notes. That's when I get super serious, but I never make notes.
Well, just before you get into that, what you just
Yeah.
said about not watching the news, that's something I've been telling people for years. Like, I generally don't watch news anymore because, look, during COVID, I'd watch it a little bit more, but I found that every time I watched the news, I'd come away feeling quite depressed, quite anxious. And the fact is that with 90% of the things you see on the news, you can't help the people that it's happening to anyway. And as you say, that might sound a bit selfish, but you have to think of your own self-care first. And, my mum used to listen to those talkback radio people who were just constantly baiting people to ring up and complain about something. And once she turned that off, she started feeling a lot better, because she was always going, oh, this person said that and that, blah, blah. And I said, just turn it off. You don't need to listen to it. And once she stopped listening to it, she did feel a lot better, and that's not selfish. It's about preserving how you feel and your own mental health.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you agree. You have to be the gatekeeper to your own mind. And I get sucked into reality TV shows because, I think that I'm relaxing when I'm watching them. But if I watch too many of them, I do start to feel a bit worse. And I kind of equate it to junk food. A little bit is okay, but if you start eating loads, you'll start feeling worse. And it's like junk food for your brain. So you have to moderate
Before you
what goes
go
in
into
there.
it, can I just give you these two comments? Lady Lauper said, Sugar and Sloth has absolutely helped make these past few years better with both the positive messages and the fantastic community. Arlene Bailey says, good morning. And the hippie chick, I never watch the news. I just try to spread kindness in my little world when I can. And I agree with you completely, hippie chick, is that I live by compassion and kindness. That's what I always want to give out every day if I can. And if I can help anyone, I will. And I'm actually going to do a podcast on compassion and kindness, and asking people, for some things that they can do out of their work if they're in care or something like that. What extra thing could you do in a week that would help someone else that you hadn't actually thought about? Because I think if we can pass on that little bit extra, and it doesn't have to be major, it could be going and knocking on your neighbour's door and just saying, hey, how are you? Have you had a good day? Taking them around a packet of tea and some biscuits and saying, here, I just thought you might like this. Start a conversation with someone, and we can spread that kindness. Before COVID, I used to, if I was in the queue buying my groceries and there was someone older than me, I would always help them with their basket and unpack it, have a chat to them. And ages ago, when I was in a relationship, like moons ago, the person I was with, she said to me, why are you helping them? We're in a hurry. And I go, because I might be the only person they speak to that day, that week. So if I can spend 2 minutes talking to someone and showing them that people care, then that helps them. And it does make me feel better. It's not like I just go, all right, I'm going to be kind to everyone. It made me feel better that I'd had an interaction with someone. And, sometimes the only person they speak to is, I would say, check out operator, because they don't get to see lots of people. So any way that we can spread that extra little bit of helpfulness, kindness, that's just the way we should be. Right now,
Yeah,
you tell me.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It is.
I've got to tell you again, because you've got more things. So the hippie chick says, I love gifting Sugar and Sloth goodies randomly to people. Anita's work makes so many people smile. Ain't that the truth? And Lady Lauper again says, I'm taking to adding Sugar and Sloth fun stickers onto buses and surrounding areas to spread some positivity. It's fun and mildly rebellious. I absolutely love that, because if someone saw one of your stickers, wouldn't it make their day better?
Oh, I hope so. So just to really quickly go over these points then. So just the first one was about limiting your news source. It's coming at us from all angles. I, like yourself, before COVID, I did not watch the news at all. Then I was like, oh, okay, I kind of need to, because I need to know what the rules are today, because they were always changing. So I did get sucked into it. But just picking one source. So maybe in the UK it's the BBC. I don't know. Obviously, different countries, different preferences. One source, and then once you have, and setting a time limit. So, I'm going to look at the BBC homepage for 5 minutes. I'm going to set a timer, and that's it. And then I'll have everything I need to know about it. I'm not then going to read any Facebook posts, anything else. I'm not going to go on Twitter, because you can't avoid anything on Twitter. I think really, really important to be the gatekeeper and to unfollow, block, whatever you have to do, any accounts. People on social media, you can unfollow them and they won't know if they're posting about things and it's bringing you down. Just make sure that's not in your eyesight. So you just have your one news source and your time limit, and then only focusing on the facts. So news outlets, they have to bombard us 24 hours a day. They're competing with each other to be the most dramatic and bring this news. And they fill that time with interviewing people who will speculate on worst case scenarios and things like that, which can be really, really scary and isn't actually necessary, because it's someone's opinion, it's not fact.
Can I just jump in then and add to that? What I find really, really disgusting is when someone's lost someone to a murder, or something really tragic has happened to them, and they're standing outside their house waiting for a comment. And I just think, what comment could they possibly say that's going to make them feel better at the moment? Leave them alone, let them go through what they need to go through, and then if they want to come on TV, ask them then. But we don't need to know the day their child's died. Well, what do you think? Well, of course, they're going to be distraught, grieving, emotional. We don't need to see them like that. We need to see them when they've got their head back around it and they can actually put together what they want to say. Because otherwise, is it called doorstepping, where, you know, they just get on your doorstep and knock on the door and want to ask a question. I just think that's the worst thing you could do to anybody. Yeah, if they're the person who murdered someone, let's find out why they did it, because we want to know that. But we don't want to know what the parents or sisters, brothers, what they feel, because they don't even know what they feel at that time. Obviously, they're angry, they're sad, but what they say in anger might not be what they feel in 2 months, 6 months' time. Give them time to get through it, work through it. I mean, they're never going to get over it, but at least be able to come to some sort of a balance in their life where they can say, okay, I'd like to come on and talk about what happened, you know. But doorstepping them, whatever it is just the worst thing you could do, because that person, they don't know how they feel at that point.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because on one hand, we rely on the news to tell us what's going on, but then there's so many news channels competing to, and they probably want that first comment with that raw anger and emotion, because it's probably going to be better on TV. So there's that kind of horrible side to it as well.
But they can report the news and what's happened without actually going and talking to that family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Can I look? I've got to give you more comments because they're coming through quick. Coggy the Seeker says the kindness and compassion shown in the Sugar and Sloth bestie group is amazing. And the hippie chick said at Lady Lorpa, you're an absolute legend. And Lady Lorpa said, no, you. And the hippie chick just smiled back. So, and there's another one here. The news outlets really need to sort themselves out. But if people keep consuming it, they keep feeding it to us. And that was from the hippie chick. And then she said, look, people are saying hello to everybody. So it's obviously a lot of people you know, because they all know each other.
It's the besties, it's a wonderful community, and everyone is welcome to come and join our Facebook group, and it's really, really a supportive place to be.
And you can also come and listen to my podcast at Life Changes You, which is everywhere. And you can listen to Anita's one, which was episode 148. I think it was last week, wasn't it? Or was it the week before?
Maybe it's the week.
I can't remember.
Before? I don't know.
Yeah. No, not this week. The week before. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Right, go on then. Let's continue.
So just to talk about your anxiety would be my next point. So, everyone is going through this, feeling anxious around these topics. So not to bottle it up, to talk about it. We have a specific thread in the Best Facebook group. Obviously there's other platforms. We're going to do a podcast about spreading kindness, which I think will really tie into that. But just to have someone that you trust to talk to and share emotions.
And look, there is also a really good website which is in the UK. It's called the 10 Keys of Happiness, or the 10 Keys to Happiness. And you can Google it, and it's got lots of information about what you can do each day to make your life happier. And it's all based on, I think, 15 or 20 years of research into how people feel happy.
Oh, awesome. 10 Keys to Happiness, is that?
Yeah. Did you just write that down?
Yeah, have a look. Thank you.
Yeah, look, and if you don't want to read all about it, if you go back to the podcast about 2 years ago, we did a special on the 10 keys.
Okay, I would prefer to listen, than reading.
And they're only 10 minutes each.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So number 4, looking for practical ways to help. So, getting caught in this news spiral and getting more and more anxious about it isn't going to help anyone. There will be practical ways that we can help. Obviously not with every news story. We have to pick what's manageable for us. And then A, that helps the world become better, and B, it makes us feel better as well. So it's kind of a really practical way to help. And we see that all the time in everyday life. When you're helping people pack their shopping, it's making you feel better as well. So it's win-win, basically. I think that can help us feel a bit more in control. What can I actually do to help this news story? And then just my final one is looking out for the signs of growing anxiety, panic attacks, and working on things like grounding techniques, and just being really mindful when you are reading the news, somewhere where you might get triggered, you might feel really anxious, just kind of keeping an eye on that and stepping back, doing some grounding when you need to do that.
All right, we've got more comments from your besties. I'm going to read them because they're funny. The hippie chick says, sorry, at Life Changes You podcast, we have to say hi and be kind when we see other besties. And then Lady Lorpa has written to at Robot Pine Martin. It's still early though. though I did get a happy cactus drawing from Anita. That definitely started as something else. Oh, okay. I don't need to ask about that, I don't think. I think that's gone into my head.
Sometimes we get really lovely notes on the orders where besties will request extra confetti in their boxes or drawings. We'll leave it at that. Drawings or anything they want, little doodles.
What was the drawing that started off as a cactus, a little doodle?
Sorry?
Was the happy cactus that started as something else, was that a doodle?
Yeah, so Lady Lorpa is just terrible, really, for lowering the tone. But yeah, they did ask for a rude doodle, to which I drew a cactus, and it was nothing else to be seen in that cactus drawing. It was just an innocent cactus.
And Lady Lorpa just said, "Oh my God, I'm still finding confetti."
Yes, yeah. We had a kind of confetti gate with our subscription boxes. We used to put confetti in them. I changed the type of confetti. It was a little bit smaller, and it turned out it was a bit of a nightmare and was just getting everywhere in Bestie's carpets and hair and everything. So yeah, we stopped the confetti now. But if Besties can request it in their boxes.
I used to have someone who would always give me a birthday card with glitter in it. And especially my birthday's in November, so it's hot here anyway. And you'd be sweaty and you'd open the card and all this glitter would fall on you and you just couldn't get it off for days. So I'm glad you're not using glitter.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. That's truly evil.
It is evil, yeah, it's horrible. So is there anything else we need to talk about?
I guess I just want to say, don't worry, you've got this, it'll be okay. I've been saying this on repeat for 2 years throughout COVID. But yeah, if it all gets too much, I just like to go on Instagram and look at pictures of puppies, and just think to myself that everything will be okay in the end.
Yeah, and it will be. Look, I mean, most of us have had anxiety at some point in our life. And I had anxiety attacks when I was around 23. And I thought I'd never get through them. And within a couple of months, I'd been able to work through them and stop getting them. But at the time when you're falling on the floor, crying in a heap in the middle of a shopping centre, you just think, oh my God, what's happening to me? Why is this? And people are coming up going, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. But years on, I've moved through them. So anyone who does have anxiety, you might not ever get rid of it, but you'll be able to lower it and work with it so that it's something that you can manage a lot easier. And there's plenty of help out there. If you listen to my podcast, there's ones on anxiety. I talk to psychologists and psychiatrists, and they give their opinion on how to deal with your anxiety. There's lots of stuff on the podcast that you can listen to, even stuff you wouldn't even think of listening to, like autism and, male anorexia. I cover so many different topics. I had you on Sugar and Sloth, which was a happy one, which was all about your characters and how you've got through life. And we've all got a challenge. None of us are perfect. I think I've told you before, I've got fibromyalgia. Some days it's really bad. Today it was really bad. I was actually thinking of cancelling because I just felt so exhausted. I couldn't keep my eyes open. And I thought, no, look, you can do this. It's going to be about half an hour. And so I say to the guys that I work with, they've got disabilities and mental health issues, and they say, why do I have a disability? And I say, look, I don't know why you have it, but I have one too. Mine is fibromyalgia. You can't see it, but inside I've got pain, I get headaches, I get tired. So we've all got a disability. We're all the same here. There's no one different here. We all have our own disability and we all learn to work with it. And that makes them feel better because I think they go to a lot of day programs or places where people sort of, I don't like to say look down on them, but don't treat them as an equal, because it's almost like I'm the carer looking after you. You've got to do what I tell you to do. Whereas in our studio, they can tell me what to do. I can tell them what to do. We all work as a team. Myself and my business partner, we've always said, we're not the teacher. We are their teachers, we're teachers, we're students, they're students. We're all going to learn a lot from each other. And I'll tell you, when my dad died at the beginning of last year, I went in to see all the guys the day after he died. And the compassion from all of them in the studio was unbelievable. I've never felt compassion from anyone like that. And it was amazing to see that these people who have a disability, who a lot of people don't look at as an equal, come up and hug me and kiss me and tell me everything's going to be all right,
So we've all got things that we're dealing with, but we all find a way to get through it. No matter, that was a bit of a ramble, wasn't it, actually?
No, that was really, really nice. And I love what you say about, yeah, anxiety, depression. Like, it never really goes away, but you can learn to manage it. And you get these tools and these tips and tricks to work through and live a full life. Absolutely. May I ask you then, so you had these anxiety attacks, and then within a few months you were kind of working through them. What was something that really helped you work through that?
Look, for a start, my GP wasn't very good and just put me on some like mild tranquilizer, I guess like something like Valium. And I took those a couple of times and I was so spaced out, I thought, I can't be like this. It was the same with fibromyalgia. They put me on so many anti-anxiety, antidepressants. And I was at a point where I couldn't get out of bed. And I thought, I have to try and change this. So I'm still on two, but they're the ones that I can work with. So when I had the panic attacks, what I had to learn to do was, and it wasn't easy, like the first probably month, I would be, whenever I had to leave the house, it didn't matter what I needed to take with me, I had to have that bottle of pills with me in case I had a panic attack, because I believed that that was the only thing that could help me. Then I learned from some people about doing deep breathing when I started to feel anxious. And also, I mean, we don't have, is it an analog watch now where you watch the second hand go round? But someone said to me, if you watch the second hand go round and count it, that will help you calm down and just breathe better. So they were two things I used. And also when I was at home, I would talk to myself about what's the worst thing that can happen. And now I've done counseling and studied all that. I know that there's all the, you know, what's the worst thing that can happen to you, put it in a scale of 1 to 10. But back then I learned that myself. Whereas, you know, well, if I go out the house, what's the worst thing that can happen? I can have another panic attack, end up on the floor. And then what happens? About 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, I start to feel better again. And then I look at myself and go, well, what happened then? I also did, I was working, I had a fashion label, I was acting, I had a record, mail order business. I had too much going on and I needed to cut some back. So I cut 2 of those out. And that was probably a good thing too, because I was finding I was probably getting around 4 to 6 hours sleep a night, if that. Because some nights I'd just stay up cutting out patterns of fabric and, yeah, it was all crazy. Look, you're my therapist. But, you know, I was doing all that and I realized I didn't need to do all that. I needed to start getting out and just meeting people and having fun again and getting back to a normal life. So I think it was more, yeah, those two things about counting the time on my watch and learning to deep breathe. And then gradually learning that, like what I did was when I had the tablets and I couldn't leave the house without them, what I'd start doing was I would leave them at home and just walk to the corner shop and back and see if I could do that. And once I could do that, then I started walking a bit further away. And a couple of times, like I'm not saying it was easy because a few times I'm like getting to the corner of the street and I'm thinking, no, I need my tablets, I need my tablets. But you go, no, look, just walk a little bit more. It's like another minute. So you walk in the shop, go in, feel a bit anxious or yeah, got to buy some stuff, buy the stuff. Walk back, and on the way back you're thinking, oh good, I did it, I didn't need the tablets. And you get home and then that's like a little reward for yourself because you've actually got through it. So, you know, I guess all those little things together helped me learn to work with my anxiety. And now that I've studied counseling, I realize that anxiety is in everybody. So when people go, oh no, I don't suffer from anxiety, you do in some way, but you just haven't, it's not anxiety that's bothered you. Some people, anxiety is really hard to deal with. Other people, I mean, people have anxiety where if they were to be meeting, say, you in a restaurant to have dinner, they won't go in before you go in because they're worried about sitting at the table on their own. Will people be looking at them? What, you know, self-conscious. So that's a type of social anxiety. And, you know, there would be a lot of people who felt like that. Some guys going into the toilet, you know, they're worried if they've got to stand at a urinal, is someone going to see them there, or what are they going to think, you know? There's all these different little things that we don't realize people worry about, but they do. And it's now under the umbrella of social anxiety, which I absolutely hate because I think social anxiety is what we all have. Why do we need to put it under an umbrella? There's anxiety, there's different types of anxiety, but social anxiety is usually a lot milder from what I've learned. So social anxiety would be those two little things I said, things like that, or you're going shopping and you're worried you're going to get a car park, you know, oh, am I going to get a car park when I get there? Oh, I'm worried. Then you get there and you get a car park easy and then you go, oh, I've got a car park, you know. they're things, and they're things I've learned from other people. You know, I'm the one that doesn't like sitting in a restaurant on my own.
Same. When you said that, I was like, doesn't everyone feel like that?
But some people
um,
don't. They just walk in and sit down and play on their phone, talk to the waitress. And, you know, it's not a bad thing. But I just think, oh, I don't want to go in there and sit there because then I look like I'm on my own. And, you know, it's all those thoughts in your head that you don't think you have, but then you start having them as soon as you have to do something you don't really want to do.
That's so interesting when you say you don't like that label of social anxiety, because you're saying everyone feels that way. Why do we have to label it? Which I understand. I suppose for myself, I like that label of social anxiety because when I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like I'm so anxious about going to this place, what's wrong with me? And then I can be like, okay, I know I have social anxiety. I know I can work through this. So for me, I kind of find it comforting. So it's just interesting
It
how we see
is.
it differently.
But then the other thing to that is if you don't call it anxiety and you call it, I don't know, I mean, I've got a client at work that whenever he's feeling a bit anxious, we say having a wobble rather than anxiety, because anxiety made him feel like, oh, I've got something wrong with me. A wobble, oh, you're just feeling a little bit wobbly. So look, I'm not a great believer in any of the labeling in psychology, because I think we've got to a point now where we need to make mental health so much more acceptable, and it is going that way, but very, very slowly. But if we didn't have labels, look, the psychiatrist can have a label for you, but then let's work on it in a different way, because a lot of people who get a label put on them then go, oh my God, I've got this wrong with me. And then they start to worry and it increases anxiety. Whereas if we say, oh, look, you know, you're a little bit of a stressed out person. You know, you find it a bit hard to go into restaurants on your own and sit down. But look, you're just having, no, I don't want to use anxiety. Or you're having anxiety that everybody on the planet has, you know. But when we make it social anxiety, then people are like, oh, I've got social anxiety. That means I'm not very good out in social settings. That means I don't like talking to people, you know. So they label it with the social. It's an anxiety. We all have anxiety. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you make it social, there are a lot of people who link it back to, well, when I'm in a social setting, I don't like talking to people at parties. And then they'll go to a party and they go, oh, but I've got social anxiety, so I won't talk to anyone. Do you see what I mean? Whereas if they just
Yeah,
think
no,
they've
I
got a
see
bit of
how
anxiety, then
yeah,
they're
it
just
could
going to go out
spiral
and
and
talk.
it could get worse. I suppose a little bit different, but I'm thinking about for myself ADHD. And when I started identifying with that label, it really, really helped me because, you know, I was having all these struggles. I was thinking, am I stupid? You know, what is wrong with me? And when I discovered that, and now I can Google ADHD tips for this, like whatever I'm trying to do, for planning, for things like that. And it really, really helps, and it makes me feel more confident and more capable because I'm like, okay, you know, there isn't just something random wrong with my brain. Everyone else does these things easily and I can't do them. There's actually this scientific reason, and there's these coping techniques that I suppose if I didn't have that label, I wouldn't know what to Google, what groups to go in to get help. So I see it as positive, but I see what you're saying, that, you know, it can become, I suppose it's how you look at it, and it can become, you know, prevent you from doing things and think, oh, well, I can't do that because I have this label. So I guess it depends how you use the label.
And look, you just explained it perfectly with ADHD. For you, it's great because it helps you to find those tools. But for some other people, it doesn't. It sits with them and they think, oh my God, I've got ADHD. What am I going to do? Why aren't I normal? Why aren't I this? Why aren't I that? No one is normal. There's no normal anymore. We've all got our problems. Like I said, I've got fibro. I've got other things. I've got celiac disease. I can't eat wheat. I've got a thyroid disease, you know. But if I thought about those, I would still be in my bed from 10 years ago when the doctor said to me, you're either going to spend the rest of your life in bed or you're going to end up in a wheelchair. And when I heard that, that was when I had to start changing things around, because I thought, I've got one life. People do say to me, there's afterlife. I don't know if there is or not, but this one life I've got, I need to live it. And I can't live it if I'm stuck in bed all day. So I had to start working around little things. And one of my things I did, to vacuum my lounge room floor would take me 3 or 4 minutes. When I first had fibromyalgia, it took me a whole day and I still only got half done. But I forced myself to do a little bit, go and have a sleep, do a little bit more, have another sleep. Because I thought if I start doing these little things, they'll turn into bigger things. And that's what happened. It was all about setting little goals that I could achieve And then once I could achieve them, go for bigger goals and bigger goals. And for me, fibromyalgia was the best thing that happened to me because I worked stupid hours. I didn't have time to study. I always wanted to be a counsellor. When I recovered from the 12 weeks of laying on the couch where I couldn't do anything, I thought, right, this is the time when I'm only going to work part-time that I can study. So I went back and I studied counselling. So for me, yeah, it's an awful thing, but it's also got a good side to it. So, and I'm one of these people that always sees the positive in every negative, which can be quite annoying to people.
I know I'm annoying to people as well, but no, I think that's really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I've got to just read you some more comments. You've got random acts of kindness and positive vandalism from robots. Bobs. I find the words on my SNS pen always reassuring. Everything will probably be okay. Like Life Changes You podcast. Oh, we're glad you did it, but please look after yourself. Purple Fiona, I would love to invite both of you to be on my podcast, Peers in a Pod, which is about people with lived experience of mental health difficulty supporting each other. She says also it's a great ramble. Lady Lorpa, it was a really nice ramble though. Hippie chick, always good to hear a ramble on MH from men. On mental health from men?
Mental health.
Please. Yeah, finding the right medication is hard, especially on top of chronic illness. It definitely is. I could never find the right one. And that's why in the end I gave up. I'm not saying that anybody else should give up, but for me it just didn't work. 478, breathing helps me during panic attacks. 478. Absolutely this. The pressure in males to suffer in silence is absolutely overwhelming. Incredible how many of us had intense, active, high pressure lives before a breakdown. Yes, I will never tell someone to stop talking about their mental health. The more we talk about it, the more normalized it will become. And that's why I started the podcast, why I started the lives, because I wanted people who don't want to look around for answers to be able to have a resource that they could go and listen to a podcast. And not every week's going to be your cup of tea, because I cover so many topics, everything, suicide, mental health, anorexia. I've also had an actress from Wentworth and Neighbours who came on and talked about her life. I've had a few people come on and talk about cults and surviving a cult. Now, that is mental resilience, coming out of a cult and trying to get your life back on track. So I just cover everything because I think there's going to be someone out there who'll listen and go, actually, I know someone who needs this advice, or that actually helped me. My saying is always, if I can give you one grain of sand of knowledge today that changes your life forever, I'd be happy for the rest of my life. You don't even need to talk to me. You don't need to pay me to be a counsellor. It's on the podcast. It's in these lives, like us talking. Before we came on, we said, about half an hour, we'll talk a little bit about anxiety in your business. But look at what it's grown into. You know, it's been a really good conversation about mental health, about anxiety, about some of the things you've gone through, what I've gone through. And if someone hears that and goes, that's going to help me, who cares? You know, we've spent an hour chatting and people are getting something from it. That's what I love about these things. We've got the knowledge. I was told about 10 years ago, well, now you've got the knowledge, you should charge for that. And at first I was counselling people. My business is actually helping those people with a disability or mental health issues to learn to communicate better and to be able to stand on their own 2 feet and be able to say what they need, advocate for themselves. Because I think a lot of the time, as I said, with some carers, they're sort of just looked after, and I want them to be able to say, hey, I don't like that. And I'll give you an example. This week, we've got a guy who uses, I'm doing this, a walker. And his legs are a little bit buckled, but he can manage to get around. So he could probably walk 5-10 minutes. One of my support workers said, let's go for a walk. He took him for half an hour walk. He came back, the support worker went home. My guy sat down, he said, I'm exhausted. That was so much, too much for me. I said, okay, tomorrow when this staff comes in, I want you to tell them that was too much for you. And he went, no, I can't tell him that, I can't tell him that. I said, yeah, before he comes in, I'll go through it with you and we'll construct a little conversation that you can have. Anyway, so when this support worker came in, I said, go on then, tell him what you wanted to tell him. And he's like, and I went, tell him what you wanted to tell him about the walk. And he went, actually, the walk was too far. I was too tired and it hurt my legs. Brilliant. You know, next time, when I had a conversation with his sister later in the day, I said, look, I really pushed him to say what he wanted and why it wasn't good. And she said, oh my God, that's what we've wanted him to do for ages. So, you know, those little breakthroughs of building someone's confidence enough to do that Then he'll go on, and the next time he's faced with a situation like that, he won't feel self-confident about doing it. He'll just go, look, I didn't like that, and it's not your fault, but it's just too much for me. You know, because we don't want anyone to be angry with someone, but we want them to be able to put it in a way that helps them understand and the other person understand.
Yeah, that's really lovely. And it's nice that you can help people physically, like one-to-one, and then you're also on the podcast sharing your knowledge for the wider audience.
Yeah. Look, we've got more things. So we've got a robot said, COVID has definitely made my social anxiety and ability to go out and meet people so much harder. I agree 100%. I don't even want to go out anywhere at the moment. I'm happy to go to work, come home, do these lives, and sit with my dog and watch TV. It's a bit that I'm still not 100% sure that COVID's gone. And also, I think everybody has lost that ability to interact sympathetically to other people, because I think now there's a lot of people who are getting out there. We see it with like restaurants and bars where the wait staff aren't treated so nicely, like, why is my table not ready? You know, these people have probably been out of work for 12 months, 2 years with no pay because they're casual. They've come back to work. You might have been working still, and now you're giving them a hard time because your table's not ready. We need to learn a little bit of compassion and kindness as we're all moving back out there. And if we see someone struggling a bit, just go up and say, hey, are you okay? Or give them a smile. We spent 2 years where we couldn't smile because we had stupid masks on. Now I love seeing people smiling at me. It's like, hey, we're back again. We're all smiling at each other. Isn't it a good thing?
Yeah, I think we've all done that, smiling at someone wearing a mask and then wondering why they're not smiling back because they can't see. So yeah, smiles are coming back. That's a nice way to look at it.
All right, and we've got, so Hippie Chick said, I've met the best people by going to gigs on my own. Yep, me too. Lady Lorpa, finding trans-friendly restrooms is such an anxiety-inducing moment, or trying to find a disabled one that doesn't require a key. Look, I understand where you're coming from, because when I'm taking people out with disability, half the time the toilets that are disabled are broken, the locks don't work, and usually you find syringes in there because people have found it's a bit bigger for them to do what they need to do. Yeah, so I understand. Anita, my online mother. There you go. It's funny how labels can help and hinder sometimes at the same time. That's where I'm stuck, Purple Fiona, because like we were saying, Anita finds it helpful. For me, I don't find it helpful, but I understand now from talking to Anita that I can see how that can be helpful, because for you it works. There's other people it doesn't work for. So I guess we need to find a balance in the middle, don't we, of people who do want the label because then they can work from that and find out their information, and the ones that find fear in it, I guess.
Yeah, and there will be ways where I am limiting myself, I think, by having these labels. So yeah, it's having that balance.
All right, we'll just get through the rest of these. Lady Lorpa, so many things to consider for so many people. The more we talk about it, the more we'll fix things. Simply anxious. Lisa, it's just situations that make us feel uncomfortable. It's not an illness. Call would not good enough. I think that might be a spelling mistake. I never knew this. I may have to look this up. Thank you. That's how I got my radar key. Someone's talking about a radar key. Simply anxious says, boom. Hippie Chick, petition for Anita to start making SNS radar keys. Simply anxious. You don't have anxiety, you experience it, is a better way to look at it. God, I'm going to run out of throat here. Now, I think some of these, Purple Fiona will be in touch with us to see if we want to do her podcast. I'm going to leave some of these because I think they're sort of in-house jokes between your guys. Yes, how often do we talk about our mental health, and the other person tells us they're glad we talked about it, and then they tell us their story? Yeah, we need to make sure that we're actually listening to what people are saying as well, and not just listening, formulating our question to ask next. So we need to be very much there and ready to do it. I'm still hoping that one day in future we can have an in real life bestie tea party, hopefully with us all being socially awkward. It'll cancel itself out. Labels can help in just knowing how to deal and fight their daily battles. Look, yeah, exactly. They work for some, they work for others. I guess from my point of view, I don't like finding people that come to me and say, I've been told I have and then that's all they focus on is what's wrong. I can't remember because I haven't used this therapy, but there's a therapy where we actually label, say, the anxiety and put it next to you, and it's not part of you, it's something that is around you. I guess sort of disassociating with it, but also acknowledging it.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, Anita, this has been brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for the opportunity and for having me on. And I'm excited to listen to who's your next podcast? What's that one?
It's actually Simply Anxious, who just made a few comments. That's on
Oh,
Sunday.
right. Okay.
And we talk about her life and her anxiety, what happened to her. It wasn't great what happened to her, and she has had a lot of anxiety through her life, but she's learned to deal with it. It's a really good podcast to listen to for anyone. She was on, I think Lisa was on last week on the live.
Okay.
So we had a great chat last week on here, but then this Sunday coming up, you can listen to her podcast, which I think was about an hour. We just didn't stop talking, you know. But then they can also go back to your one, which is season 2, episode 148 of Life Changes You podcast, available on Apple, Spotify, Google, everywhere else. I'm available here if you want to send me a DM, if you want to chat about anything. I'm happy to talk about anything to do with mental health that you want help with. I'm not actually counselling at the moment, but I'm happy to answer questions and help if I can. My positive updates daily, your positive updates daily. What's your handle on here? Is it just Sugar and Sloth?
Yeah, Sugar and Sloth on all channels. That's where you can find us.
Brilliant.
Oh, thank you so much for this. It's been amazing.
Thank you, Anita. God bless you, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah, good night. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
No.